Welcome back to The Whole Picture. The light meter in your digital camera is designed to achieve the best images from the midtones in the scene. As a result, many times when photographing people with either very dark or light skin, the results are muddy and disappointing. My student Elijah Drake is a flight attendant and wants to take great pictures of his family to enjoy while he's away. In the pictures he's taken so far, it's difficult to make out the details in the faces. So I'm heading to Elijah's to teach him how to get great skin tones out of his digital camera. Hey, Elijah.
Hey, Erin. How you doing? I'm good. What about you?
Wonderful. I love this tree you have in the front yard.
Awesome tree.
Great leaves.
You already got one.
Ready to get started?
I am. Shay's inside.
Okay.
Erin, this is my niece, Shay. Shay, this is Erin.
Hi, Shay. Hi. Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
Ready to get your picture taken?
I'm ready.
Okay, well, you look great in those colors.
Thank you.
All right, Elijah, let's start with your camera.
All right.
Now, most point-and-shoot cameras are designed to average out the light and the contrast in the entire scene, okay? Add on to the fact that our eyes can see a broader range of light from the brightest highlights to the darkest shadows than our cameras are capable of capturing, and you'll understand why your pictures turn out maybe too contrasty with not enough detail in the bright areas or the dark areas. Why it doesn't look like what your eyes actually see. Okay, kind of like that picture you sent me of your sister.
Yeah, I remember that.
All right, you took a picture of her against a bright white background, so the camera's light meter exposed for the bright white background and underexposed your sister. So we couldn't see all the details in her face. But there are some things you can do to help out your camera. And we professionals have been trained to pay attention to the background, so I'm going to teach you about that. Let's try taking a picture of Shay right now. We'll see all the background behind her. We've got the white fireplace and all those details may confuse our camera and it might not expose it correctly.
How's that?
Yep, and it's true. We can't really see all the features in her face because it underexposed her face.
Exactly.
All right, but if we just change our perspective, Shay, if you want to move over here, and we'll just move a little bit over here, like about right here, and now take the photograph. We have her in a darker background, so the camera's light meter should expose more correctly for her skin tone. If you're going to use the automatic settings on your camera, it's especially important to start by analyzing your entire scene before you take your pictures. Looking the scene over first will help you capture the best possible skin tones, especially when they're darker or lighter than average. If you're outside, move your subject into an area that avoids great levels of contrast that will make it harder for your camera to capture the proper exposure. When inside, avoid any area that is very light, like in front of a window, or very dark, like a door into another room. Minimize these areas by closing the blinds or the door. Put your subject in position and try taking a shot with everything on automatic, including the flash. When on automatic, most flash pictures will have an increased level of contrast, making it even harder to capture the detail in skin tones. Turn off the flash and take the same picture again. Notice how the picture is much more evenly exposed. Now try turning on more lights and take the picture again. When set on the automatic setting, the camera will make its best guess to give you the optimal exposure. Zoom in or move in as close as you can to minimize the background even more. You can also try moving your subject closer to the window to increase the amount of light. Adjust the blinds and curtains to give you the optimum look. I like to try to use sheer curtains to help give a softer light on the subject. Just keep experimenting until you get the look you want. So pretty out here with all these leaves and everything.
Amazing.
Shay, why don't you have a seat right over here, and we'll use the leaves as a backdrop. I think this will be a nice spot.
Okay.
Now, shooting pictures inside, I think you can really see what our challenges were as far as shooting someone with a darker skin tone. Right? But the same thing applies when you're shooting people with really light skin. And the reason being, the whole problem is having a lot of contrast in your scene. Now, you also might be shooting pictures, say, outside, for instance, where you have very limited control over the background and the lighting. But there is a way to control your camera to adjust for the exposure and get just the right picture. It's called using your exposure compensation setting on the camera. And it's really easy to do. Basically what it does is it allows you to control the amount of light coming into the camera without having to fool with all those other settings. So before we get started, though, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the camera. And we'll just leave it in the automatic mode without doing anything else to it. And take a picture of Shay, and let's see how it turns out. Okay,
Not bad.
nice shot, but her skin tone is still underexposed.
Sort of muted.
Yeah, just a little muddy. So I'm going to show you the exposure compensation setting. It's right here. By using the exposure compensation feature on your camera, you utilize the camera's automatic settings and then adjust them to bring out the area in the scene that's important to you. Take a picture in the automatic setting, then look at the picture in the LCD and analyze the area that's either too dark or too light. In most digital cameras, adjusting the exposure up or down is as simple as pressing the navigation button. To increase the exposure, simply press the up arrow on your camera until you're satisfied with the way the picture looks in the LCD. There will usually be some indication of the compensation level in the LCD. Another trick that I like to use when taking pictures with my point-and-shoot camera is to use the camera's preset exposure settings, also called picture-taking modes. Each setting is a combination of shutter speed and lens opening that's designed to compensate for a specific lighting condition. They can be very helpful when the auto setting just doesn't give you what you want. For example, this camera has a backlight setting that compensates for a bright background. In the case of dark skin tones, it fools the camera into bringing out the subject. You can even combine manual exposure compensation with any picture-taking mode. Now, every camera's different, so know what your camera's capabilities are before you miss that once-in-a-lifetime shot. Experiment with your camera's picture-taking modes and exposure compensation until you know you can capture the shots you want. For more information on exposure compensation or any of today's lessons, just log on to our website at DIYnetwork.com. You can also see more of the pictures we took. Now that you've compensated for your camera's shortcomings, you'll learn how to make sure your light meter is spot on. That's next on The Whole Picture.